السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال سبحانه: يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. وقال تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد. In the great Hadith Qudsi related by Abu Dhar, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said: Ya ibadi, kullukum ja'iyun illa man at'amtuhu fastat'imuni ut'imkum. O my servants, O my slaves, my worshippers, all of you are hungry, except those whom I have fed. So seek food from me, and I shall feed you. After mentioning the most important and necessary aspect of our existence for us to thrive individually and collectively as a species, which is maintaining justice and preventing wrongdoing of all kinds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then gave us the prescription to properly do this, and that is by seeking guidance from Allah. And this guidance is nourishment for the soul. And from here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directs our attention to nourishment of the body and tells us that the default state of humanity and of earth and creation is one of food scarcity and one of inability. This is something that we take for granted so much here in most of America, In Medina 1400 years ago, if there was a drought, it meant that many people would die of hunger. And today, in many parts of the world, that is still the case. And in some parts of the world where supply lines normally carried food, but war has overturned their world, they realize that scarcity once again. And even here in America, where most people do not grow their own food or hunt for their food, if there was a sudden upheaval that threatened logistics and those supply lines, then we too would experience that same scarcity. But even before food gets on the truck, to get to the store that you buy it from, consider the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَفَرَأَيْتُم مَّا تَحْرُثُونَ أَأَنْتُمْ تَزْرَعُونَهُ أَمْ نَحْنُ الزَّارِعُونَ لَوْ نَشَاءُ لَجَعَلْنَاهُ حُطَامًا فَظَلْتُمْ تَفَكَّهُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, which means, and have you seen the seeds that you sow? Is it you who makes it grow, or are we the ones who are truly growing it? And had we willed, we could make it like dry debris, and you would remain in wonder. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says after that, أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ الْمَاءَ الَّذِي تَشْرَبُونَ. Have you not seen the water that you drink? أَأَنْتُمْ أَنزَلْتُمُوهُ مِنَ الْمُزْنِ أَمْ نَحْنُ الْمُنزِلُونَ. Is it you who bring it down from the clouds, or are we the ones who bring it down? لَوْ نَشَاءُ جَعَلْنَاهُ أُجَاجًا فَلَوْلَا تَشْكُرُونَ. And if we willed, we could make it bitter. So why are you not then thankful? These are all things that we take for granted. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that even when the Dajjal comes, those who do not believe in him, the towns that reject him would lose their crops and no rain would come to them. So you can imagine the desperation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues further, talking about how we prepare our food and how we keep ourselves warm in cold nights like these. أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ النَّارَ الَّتِي تُورُونَ. And have you seen the fire that you ignite? أَأَنْتُمْ أَنْشَأْتُمْ شَجَرَتَهَا أَمْ نَحْنُ الْمُنْشِئُونَ. Is it you who produced its tree, or are we the producers? نَحْنُ جَعَلْنَاهَا تَذْكِرَةً وَمَتَاعًا لِلْمُقْوِينَ. And we have made it a reminder and a provision for the travelers. And you could also add to that natural gas and gas lines that supply our homes and the electricity that reaches our homes from the electrical power grids. Powers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has inspired humans to achieve so that we could accommodate our own expansion. But how do we seek these things from Allah, when we may be so used to thinking ourselves the ones who do all the work? Begin, of course, by asking Allah. One phrase from the Christian Lord's Prayer, as it is called in the Gospel, is, O Allah, give us this day our daily bread. رَبَّنَا أَعْطِنَا خُبْزَنَا الْيَوْمِ. And that reminds us of what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has told us. مَنْ أَصْبَحَ مِنْكُمْ آمِنًا فِي سِرْبِهِ مُعَافًا فِي جَسَدِهِ عِنْدَهُ قُوتُ يَوْمِهِ فَكَأَنَّمَا حِيزَتْ لَهُ الدُّنْيَا. Whoever among you wakes up secured in his dwelling, healthy in his body, having his food for the day, then it is as if the world has been gathered for him. The entire world. You have security and provision for a day. It's as if you have the entire world. Why is that? Because you do not know that you would even see the next day. And so you live every day as if it is your last and are grateful for that. As these are the most important things that we all seek with our wealth, before that we can seek anything secondary, whether it be something to make our lives easier, or to entertain ourselves, or even the companionship of a righteous spouse. We can further pursue and secure these blessings with righteousness, individually and collectively, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, وَلَوْ أَنَّ أَهْلَ الْقُرَىٰ آمَنُوا وَاتَّقَوْا لَفَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ بَرَكَاتٍ مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلَكِنْ كَذَّبُوا فَأَخَذْنَاهُمْ بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. And if only the people of the cities, the townships, had believed and feared Allah, we would have opened up for them blessings from above and from below. but they denied the messengers, and so we seized them for what they were earning, for what they had been earning. We think so much that all the good that comes to us is what we have earned, but we forget about the misdeeds that we do, which are also our earnings, along with the consequences, the consequences thereof, which is why we seek refuge in Allah from the evils of ourselves and from our sinful deeds. Another part of that procurement is, of course, pursuing the means of planting seeds, feeding and then slaughtering grazing animals, and other means of production without placing our entire reliance upon those or forgetting about Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا وَيَعْلَمُ مُسْتَقَرَّهَا وَمُسْتَوْدَعَهَا كُلٌّ فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. And there is no creature on earth but that upon Allah is its provision, and He knows its place of dwelling and place of storage. All of that is in a clear register. It is there waiting for us to pursue it, whether by hunt and slaughter or by harvesting or purchasing and ordering and distributing. Furthermore, expressing gratitude and promoting a society where everyone looks out for the needs of others. Abu Dharr, radiallahu anhu, the narrator of our hadith, he was instructed by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this manner. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, Ya Abu Dharr, إذا طبخت مرقة فأكثر ماءها وتعاهد جيرانك. Abu Dharr, when you prepare broth for yourself, then increase its water and gift your neighbors. There are many people in this country today who despise helping out the needy. They subscribe to a new form of social Darwinism, where the greedy can and should use all means necessary and legal to exploit the poor and even blame the poor for their suffering. And many Muslims are beginning to subscribe to this ideology knowingly or unknowingly. It is just as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ أَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ, and when it is said to them, give from what Allah has provided to you, قَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَنُطْعِمُ مَنْ لَوْ يَشَاءُ اللَّهُ أَطْعَمَهُ إِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. Those who disbelieve, they say that should we feed those whom if Allah willed, then He would have fed them? And you are only in plain error. Some men may like the idea of being given more money by Islam in inheritance, and recognize that it is with that gift, that doubling of inheritance is with a trust of providing for those given less. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a woman 1 share and her brother gets 2 shares from their parents, but with the understanding that the brother has to be responsible in providing for his dependents, while the woman is not required to provide for anyone but her own self, if even that. There are men in the Muslim community who take that share of inheritance and take their wages as well and still force their wives to pay for their own living. And there are those who use that trust well, but when it comes to the sustenance of the dunya, they have forgotten that it is much the same. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed more for you as an inheritor of the earth, so that you may provide for those who have less than you have on earth. Oh wait, you thought that this was paradise and that you are entitled to everything that you have without needing to help others. If that were the case, then perhaps the stores should close their doors to you, and no one should deliver to you, since you get everything by yourself without the help of others. In the 1970s, a Stanford professor conducted an experiment with a group of students, designating some quite completely randomly as inmates and a few others as guards in a prison experiment. And many of those who were made guards, they began humiliating those who were made inmates, even though they used to sit next to each other in class. And they started implementing various forms of psychological torture and punishment. And it turned violent. The incident inspired a couple of Hollywood depictions. And in recent times, other experiments have been made which are less conducive to violence, but where people are given a Monopoly board game and playing against each other, but one person at random is given extra money at the start of the game. Observers noted that the individual often who was given more at random, he often became snarky, entitled, and arrogant towards the other throughout the course of the game, and were actually more likely to cry foul if they experienced a setback. And when they moved their piece around the board game, they would lift their figurine up high and smack it down hard and obnoxiously with every step quite proudly. They had not learned the lessons that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us. وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا إِنَّكَ لَن تَخْرِقَ الْأَرْضَ وَلَن تَبْلُغَ الْجِبَالَ طُولًا. And do not walk in the earth proudly, as you shall neither pierce the earth nor reach the mountains in stature. And there is not one of us here except that their parents or guardians chose to feed us selflessly. And no doubt among our ancestors there were those who had meals and were able to pursue sustenance only due to the generous mercy of a neighbor or passerby. And when we forget these blessings, that perhaps were our ancestors alive today to recall them to us, we might be better positioned in our mindset to pay it forward and help those around us struggling to survive and get out of abject poverty. And if we help others, it may be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help us. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. Many people in this country and in the West and even in parts of the East ruled by communism do not like religion. They claim that religions are hateful and oppressive, with Islam being the worst, of course. Yet they may be the ones who are willing to kill children 2 days before delivery day because it is an inconvenience, or because the child does not have the desired genetics, or because the parents or the mother is impoverished or ashamed. Doesn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, قُلْ تَعَالَوْا أَتْلُوا مَا حَرَّمَ رَبُّكُمْ عَلَيْكُمْ? Say, tell them, Muhammad, come and I will recite to you what your Lord has truly forbidden upon you. And then Allah continues, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ مِنْ إِمْلَاقٍ نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكُمْ وَإِيَّاهُمْ. And do not kill your children out of poverty. We will be providing for you and them. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. This He has instructed to you so that you may use reason. And then there are the multinational corporations who purposely dump millions of pounds of food into lakes and oceans and landfills every year, just to keep the price of their product up, while people are starving abroad. So who is really oppressive? Religion or non-religion? It is Islam. It is religion and Islam specifically that instructs us, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْرِفِينَ. And eat and drink, but do not be wasteful, for He does not like the wasteful. Guidance, which if we followed it, no one would go hungry. So are religions and Islam. Are they the oppressive ones to our fellow humans, or is it the greedy and unmerciful? Those who take their share for the day and take the shares of others for that day and for days beyond. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created enough for everyone and has given us so much that we need, so much more than we need, that we need not fear poverty ourselves if we help others and put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thus Allah says, آمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا جَعَلَكُمْ مُسْتَخْلِفِينَ فِيهِ. مستخلفين فيه. Believe in Allah and His Messenger and give from what He has made you successors therein. That is khulafa, inheritors who have come after others and bear a responsibility, an amana, a trust. فَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَأَنْفَقُوا لَهُمْ أَجْرٌ كَبِيرٌ. And those who have believed among you and given, there will be a great reward. And then Abu Dharr, radiallahu anhu, he said that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَكُلُّكُمْ فَقِيرٌ إِلَّا مَنْ أَغْنَيْتُ فَسَلُونِي أَرْزُقْكُمْ. And all of you are impoverished, poor and needy, except those whom I have enriched. So ask me, I will be providing for you. I speak a lot about provision and rizq from this minbar, because week after week and day after day, over and over, I see and hear examples of Muslims speaking about their own rizq in the way that Qarun would, with a grand sense of entitlement and blaming the less fortunate and unwilling to assist them except with negligible sum. And others who base their entire happiness and their personal worth and self-perception upon their wealth alone. Individuals who were admittedly much happier in life when they had so little. We have forgotten how truly poor we are and how capable Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to change this dunya. And that we are owed very little in this dunya, as our default status is one of oppression and ignorance, misguidance, hunger, poverty, and as we shall learn next week, insha'Allah ta'ala, nakedness as well. O Allah, we ask you for beneficial knowledge, reverent hearts, remembering tongues, expansive halal sustenance, accepted deeds, and bodies that persevere through hardship. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'ani wa sunnah, wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bima fihima min al-ayati wal hikmah. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين وأعلي بفضلك وكرمك كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا ميتا إلا رحمته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا دعاء إلا أجبته ولا غائبا إلا حفظته ورددته ولا عيبا إلا سترته ولا حاجة من هوائج الدنيا والآخرة هي لك رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا أعنته على قضائها ويسرتها لنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصل اللهم وسلم على نبيك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استقيموا heels and legs on the soft like that. This is the last one. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
things, including Imam's halakha on Saturday at 7:45, a person on Zoom. Everything is on. Muslim Legal class is going over history of Muslim Ummah on Sundays at 4 p.m. broadcasted via Zoom also. So please join us in that. The diversity community is still celebrating Black History Month because we never give up and helping our brothers in the minority communities. There's a very good thing that's going on. The Salim here, the Strip District is one of the best organizations that we have in our Muslim community. They're also very helpful to all the organizations, not just ICG, also Masjid, and everything that we do. And they are expanding. And they're looking for people. And a lot of brothers and sisters, sometimes weekdays when they come here, they're looking for a job. If you really want to get a job there, contact them. They're hiring from managers, which is paying 55K to 95K. It's a big salary. Of course, you have to have qualifications, but they're hiring butcher, meat cutter, maintenance person, janitors, cash sandwich maker, anything and everything. And also, another good news is that as the economy is opening up, there will be a lot more opening for a lot of jobs. So if you're out of work and you need help, please approach us. One of the things that I realized throughout the years that whenever we get some information via email, since we don't have your information to send you an email or forward you that email, you don't get that information. Last 2 weeks, government is trying to reach out to the minority community because there's a lot of money that's coming to the new bill that's about to pass in Congress. There will be a lot of money for small businesses, especially for minorities. They have earmarked amount. So if you're a small business owner, please look out for that money. You can get a grant, you can get a lot of help. Or you can give us your email address, and when we get this information, we can pass on to you. Sometimes 2, 3 days or 7 days is way too late. Whenever the money comes, everybody has their application ready, they just send it, and they get the money. Whoever gets there first is going to get it. I know some businesses in the last 2 times they got 20,000, 25,000. It's not a small amount of money, and some of the money you don't have to return. So please make sure you look out for those things. If you need us to help you, give us your information so we can send you the email, we can forward you the email. Because the county, the mayor's office, the other government organizations, always, or most of the time, send it to us. But sometimes, unless it's Friday, I cannot communicate to you or any business people. So please go ahead, give us your information. We have recently opened up our bulletin board in our website where you will be able to place a small ad for housing, jobs, and other things. If you want, we can help you on that. Whether you're looking for a tenant or you are looking for a house, we can accommodate that. And little by little, we have all 48 look here. Vehicle where people could be helped, inshallah. Sunday school registration is still on. Incidentally, this year in April, if you have small kids who are interested in gardening, we'd like to see the Sunday school kids to garden in front. So we would want to take a project. So if you have any kids or if yourself want to help or come and join us, please feel free to do so. And you can see Brother Mohsin, myself, or Imam. I'm a bit gardening, so I'll be happy to see you, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.